Hey, welcome to the Sinner and the Saint. I'm Melissa Bell.
And I'm Allison Kane.
You can tell it's spring/summer because every story I have is about the garden.
Better than the taser.
Right? I don't carry that in the garden, actually.
Which is good.
It is. So I made new garden beds. Like, I redid my garden beds for flowers, and I made a medicinal herb garden. I know that sounds really weird, but it's just pretty and it smells good. And a kitchen herb garden. Well, when I was envisioning this, because I'm a very visual person, and so in order to make these beds, I had to visualize, I had to sit with it for a while. Well, the plants were full when I envisioned it.
Oh.
When I planted them, they're these little teeny tiny plants.
Right.
So I'm in the process of waiting to see my dream come to fruition. I mean, it's cute, but it's just, waiting.
Like a good farmer.
I was going to say like a good neighbor, but that's not it.
Like a good farmer. Yeah. It takes a lot of work. I mean, I'm not really the flower girl. Usually I kill plants.
That's why I have to come once a week to make sure that there's nothing that needs saving.
She actually does go by and look at it. She's like, oh, this one looks a little dry. This one might need something. Let's get the plant app out. Especially since my mom doesn't live here anymore. But I would just always take plants to my mom once I'd had them and they had died. I get a little overzealous. I think I usually overwater them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to die.
I used to do that.
Yeah. And so now I'm trying to go the opposite direction. And I think I'm starving them from water. I don't really know. I just think all my plants turn brown. But my mom can turn them green again.
Yeah. Mama Jean.
Yeah. But there's a lot of hope. Hope in keeping a few alive here and there. Well, speaking of farmers.
Okay.
There is this really cool verse in 2 Timothy 2. Anyway, I'll let y'all read it, 2:1-7, or we'll stick it in the notes. But it gets down to, and it says, when the going gets rough, take it on the chin with the rest of us.
I like it.
The way Jesus did. A soldier on duty doesn't get caught up in making deals at the marketplace. He concentrates on carrying out orders. An athlete who refuses to play by the rules will never get anywhere. And it's the diligent farmer who gets the produce. Think it over. God will make it all plain. I'm like, so here's what my little brain is doing. Will he though? Will he make it plain? Only because that's where I was. Sometimes you just... It's like, really? Yeah, and I know he will.
Right.
But we live so much of life in this unfinished, these unfinished, unknown sort of portions of life, this in-between. I mean, really, all of life is one big in-between, unfinished portion. But there are certain things, circumstances and transitions and stages of life where it feels especially unfinished, as if you're waiting for the next thing. I know you get that.
Oh, gosh, do I ever. I recently just said to my son, hey, I think you should pray about that. And then later on, I said, well, did you pray about it? And he said, yes. Now, he followed it up so greatly. He said, and I'm just waiting for God to respond. And I thought, man, if we could all just understand that. He does not work in our timing. We get to wait.
Yeah. God will make it all plain. Really?
Right.
I remember when the kids were young, and I can't remember which one, but I said something about, you just need, when you're worried and you're afraid like that, you just need to pray about it. And I think it was our son, and he said, yeah, I know that, Mom. He said, but the thing is, God doesn't always do what we want him to.
Oh.
So you don't really know. Just because you pray doesn't mean it's all going to work out the way you want it to. And I was like, oh, I didn't really have a rebuttal for that because that's just facts, right?
Right.
And I was like, oh, well, yes.
Let's go eat a brownie.
Yeah, I know. And that's true, right? But we should, when we're living in the unfinished, when we trust God, I probably went on to say, but when we trust him, we'll trust the outcome of whatever happens. But that is hard for
that he works everything good for those that love him.
God will make it all plain. Really? So we shouldn't gloss over these things. The feelings that we have when when things feel unfinished. I think that's where one place we get into trouble.
Is we
just pretend like it's fine.
So we just stick a scripture on it.
Yeah.
And we
that's
refuse to let that feeling penetrate.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where growth comes from.
Yeah.
Is when you know, God felt all the feelings. Clearly, I'm doing a Bible study on feelings right now because I know way too much.
You are the feelings girl these days.
Wild.
I know.
Stupid.
Crazy.
It's dumb.
No.
So,
feelings are not dumb and stupid.
God made all the feelings, and the more we lean into the feelings that we have, the more we can know the character of God.
Yes. Exactly. And how he loves us anyway in the midst of them all.
Right.
I think that sometimes not only do we just cover them up, we just gloss over it, but we'll fight those feelings.
What?
Weird. I don't know anything about that.
Huh.
You know, that those unfinished portions, we'll just like resist it. And we'll try to take control and wrap our little lasso around the situation till it feels good and in our hands, you know?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know anybody who does that.
No.
Not at all. Or we might be cynical about it.
Oh.
Like that was me. God will make it all plain. Really? I mean, that's cynicism, right? It's like,
cynicism is my love language.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But instead, we should be curious about our feelings, not ignoring them, right? Why am I feeling this way? We talk about this a lot. Like when you have a reaction, like what do I think? Why is this unsettling to me? What is it about this that makes this feel unfinished, and why can't I be comfortable in this? And trusting God with it and leaning into it instead of fighting it.
It's really hard to trust somebody you don't know.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. This might be one of the smartest things you've ever said.
I'm going to write it down. Hang on.
You
What
should.
did I say?
It's hard to trust people you don't know. And that is so true. You cannot trust him if you don't know him. And we all know, if you've ever listened to our podcast for more than once, you know that the only way you can know God is by opening up the word for yourself and spending time with him, and not just praying to him, but being quiet and listening. Yes, or at him, but listening for him.
And also, you can't trust him if you've not experienced it.
Right.
So you're still going, I don't know what this is going to do. It's like standing at the roller coaster. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to see how many loops is in that thing. Did anybody else come out crying? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. But when you do trust him a couple of times, really just once, with something he's called you to, and he literally shows up. It's like that Indiana Jones movie where you have to trust and you step off the cliff and the step appears. Yes, but you had to trust for it to actually show up. It is so inspiring, and it grows your trust level to just leaps and bounds.
It does make you a little more bolder with the things.
Yeah.
And God will keep like up in the ante a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, so you can handle that hot pepper. How about this hot pepper? I'm in a season like that right now. And it's so funny because I'm always in a season like this with God, but I know that he'll show up. I have no idea what he's going to do, but he's going to show up because he's called me to it, to the point where my husband is just like, okay,
I'm backing up.
I'm just watching.
Yeah.
Where before he would have been like, well, do you really think?
Yeah, let's question this.
Right. And now he's like, okay.
And he's seen you follow through and God show up for you as well. So you've lived that out. You know, somebody once said that if we could look at these obstacles that we face, or these unfinished things that are coming up, if we could look at those instead of as, you know, end marker or trail markers along our path, not like the finish line. Because I feel like sometimes we live and it's like, if I can just get to this, everything's going to be fine. If I could just make this happen, everything would be great. And so it's like we create our own finish line, but God is our finish line.
Yeah.
Right? Not that thing. That is just, if it's a trail marker on the entire trail, that really God is the finish line.
You know, my recent conversation with myself, I have lots of them, by the way. I was thinking, if I can just be okay right now in the midst of it, give me the peace in the midst of it. And I know that we kind of talk about that, but it's different to live it and to really dig in and live it that way.
Yeah.
And it's a very intimate relationship with God. You and I were just talking about this a little bit earlier. It requires a lot of alone time.
It does.
Going through some hard stuff or just the unknown. And the reason why we need peace and quiet and alone time is because that's the best time we can hear God. And we know that the only reason why we're here right now is because God has called us here.
Amen to that.
Right?
Yes. And, you know, when certain things, I'll start to fly into a tizzy about something. I'm like, okay, why? It will work out. This is what you were called to do, or this is what is happening next. And so trust God with that, you know, taking that reminder. Well, I thought it was so cool that it had these 3 examples, how we can take it on the chin like Jesus did. It uses an example of a soldier, an athlete, and a farmer. So I was thinking through the soldier, and it says, you know, he doesn't get caught up in making deals at the marketplace. He concentrates on carrying out orders. So I was thinking more about a soldier. They're always ready to go to battle, to respond, to be deployed, right? They are fighting for something beyond themselves. They're taking orders and they're following through for a greater good, a bigger mission than, I think I'm going to stop and buy this market, or in this market, and buy a carpet, you know, whatever. They're taking orders from someone else, and they are trusting.
Yes.
As they follow through, they're trusting their leader. And that is all the word that came to mind from this, very selfless. A soldier is selfless. And so that should be a characteristic that we should have in these unfinished, in the middle times. If we can just be selfless and not focus on, I've got this, I'm going to do this. It's like, okay, what's the big picture here?
Right?
God's the finish line. My mission is bigger than this obstacle, this end marker that I'm facing, or this trail marker that I'm standing at right now. I got to get to the end. Yeah. I got to finish the race well. And then the athlete. All right. Athletes, good ones, understand there are no shortcuts, I think.
Yes.
You know, to being a good athlete, it takes discipline.
And self-discipline.
Yes. And I mean, steady effort of practice and developing skills so that you're ready for competition. I mean, in your eating and your exercising, in your, even like your thoughts, your body, your spirit, everything, your mind, all of that, like your entire being.
Yeah.
Falls into being a really good athlete.
And being very disciplined in every aspect.
Yes. And I love how the scripture says an athlete who refuses to play by the rules will never get anywhere. And isn't that the truth? Like if you decide to go to a competition, but you break the rule, you're out.
Yep.
You're disqualified. You don't even get a chance to win the medal.
There is a jiu-jitsu tournament and you spend money to go there. It's like one of the highest elitist tournaments, blah, blah, blah. And if your gi top is not the right length, you're out.
Oh, wow.
If you are 5 ounces over the weight class that you put yourself in, they won't move you up like the other tournaments do. You gone.
Wow. That's hardcore.
Hardcore.
Well, they're good listeners, athletes.
Sometimes.
Right? Or they should be. I mean, they follow the rule. They're disciplined in all ways.
So when we're speaking athletes, we're probably talking college athletes. You know, all bets are off when you get to that NFL stuff. And to the more professional, I think they forget where they came from sometimes.
I'm thinking Olympic.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Not all people remember where they came from when they get to the...
True.
They lose their way.
True. But I think regardless, they're disciplined. Even if it's in the wrong ways, like they wear the same underwear.
Right.
If they win a tournament. Or socks, I should say.
Yeah.
You know, they're disciplined about their rituals or their eating habits or how they celebrate. And so we should be disciplined in these times, the in-betweens.
And their goal is bigger than their immediate desires, needs, like wants.
Yeah.
Yes, I want that cake, but actually, I can't have that cake because this is more important.
There's a lot of sacrifice, I feel like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, that athletes make. I mean, even kids in high school, I mean, they miss out on a lot of things because they're involved in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, they miss holiday weekends with their parents at the beach in high school. I'm like, well, that's just crazy.
That's just dumb.
They take it serious. They're disciplined. They should. Then the farmer.
I probably know the farmer well.
Yes. It says the diligent farmer gets the produce.
We'll see about that. The deer did last week.
I was thinking a good farmer, a diligent farmer, knows it takes work. Like you don't just, you have to prep like all year long. You have to be thinking about cultivating your soil, getting your soil ready, what you're going to plant, where you're going to plant it, then when do you plant it, then how do you keep it watered. You know, there's so many things, and there's a lot of waiting like you're doing and hope that it's all nothing's gonna die, and then they're just cultivating that environment for your plants to thrive. And then there's the harvest, and then you get a little bit of rest.
Yes.
A little bit.
A little bit of something.
I was just thinking the word that comes to mind for me is patience.
That's where I don't really align with the farmer. Maybe that's the part I'm working on.
I mean, honestly, just you telling me about how you laid out and drew a diagram of all these different bulbs and bought the different bulbs and planted the different bulbs at different times so they come up at different, so the plants would always have some flat. I'm like, oh my gosh. Such patience with the whole process, with the waiting and the planting, and then the waiting some more, and then the checking, and then the planting again.
And the fighting the squirrels and the deer, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then the patience to watch them come up the following season.
Maybe this is my test for, like, and then I apply it to life.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the pregame.
I don't think that you realize how much patience it takes to do this.
I don't think I do.
It's why
either.
I'm like, ugh.
But it's funny because if you ask me a cross stitch,
Yeah.
which you could do all day long,
Yeah.
ain't happening.
Yeah, that's annoying. I did try to teach myself most recently embroidering.
Oh.
I was actually going to make you something for your birthday.
Oh.
But I quit and threw it in the trash.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm here for you, girl.
I literally couldn't do it.
I'm proud of you for throwing it away.
I thought I was kind of proud. I was like, Melissa will actually appreciate this.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm just going to buy her something cute.
So proud of you.
Anyway, sometimes you just have to know when to give up. I'm learning.
Ain't that the truth?
After all these years, sometimes you just got to know when to give up. I can't just take it on the chin all the time. So we've got the soldier, the athlete, and the farmer. And I think all three of these exhibit, character traits that we need to all learn from and live by. And I love how it gives us something tangible, because we can relate to farmers and athletes and soldiers.
Yeah.
That's a analogy that we can follow that plot line. Selfless and disciplined and patient in these in-between times. I was wondering, which one right now do you feel like is resonating with you the most? Maybe not that you're doing great, but that you're like, yeah, I need to focus a little bit more on the farmer or the athlete.
Probably the athlete.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's a constant. That is a constant staying on top of your game all the time.
Yeah.
And that takes a really strong mindset. I almost feel like, and forgive me if I offend anybody, but I feel like the athlete's mindset is a different kind of strong than the soldier. The athlete doesn't necessarily have comrades.
Right.
And they don't have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all up to you, buddy.
Yeah.
You can go eat a cheeseburger and go shoot a gun. But you can't go eat a cheeseburger and go run that 50-yard dash or whatever.
Yeah. And when you're on the horse, you're the jockey, it's all on you, baby.
Yep.
And your horse, but
Yeah.
And then, like, when you're doing the hurdles and you're running track, like, you might be on a track team, but you're running the race.
It is all encompassing, the athlete.
That's true.
The soldier, I can go drink a beer and then go shoot somebody. I mean, I don't have to shoot somebody. I'm going to go guard somebody.
Yeah,
I'll guard
there you go.
I'm sorry. I will protect. I don't know.
There you go. Well, I think,
What's it for you?
yeah, I feel as if the discipline of the athlete flows into all of it for me, because to be disciplined, you do need patience.
Oh, yeah.
Patience with yourself, patience with others, patience with your circumstances. You also, to be disciplined, you have to be selfless.
You do.
Because it's not, I mean, and it seems like you have to be selfish, but it's really selfless because you're trying to accomplish something else. I mean, I guess it could be looked at both ways, but I don't know. The living in the in-between and the unfinished definitely requires a little bit of all three of these. So it'd be really, you should just sit down with 2 Timothy 2:1-7 sometime and just, read through those verses in a couple of different translations. Sit with the Lord with that. See what he shows you. I mean, it was so interesting. I actually did Lexio on these verses, and I had pages and pages of stuff.
Oh, I have no doubt.
But it's so interesting what God will reveal and what he'll show us. And just be curious. I think the thing
Curious is the best word.
Don't gloss over it. Don't try to fight it. Don't be cynical, but try to be curious and trusting and lean in to these unfinished moments. And just remember, God's the finish line.
At the end of the day, we know who wins.
Yes, he actually does and will make it all plain, as 2 Timothy 2:7 says.
Well, I'll let you know when it's plain.
Okay, great. Keep us posted. Yeah, let me know when it's plain for me too, would you?
I sure will.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us today on The Sinner and the Saint.